Alright guys, welcome back. I'm going to try to remember to talk a little bit louder because we had some issues with the audio on the last video and it drove me absolutely nuts. So, I've got my bass on and we're just going to do a get ready with me. There's not going to be any real tutorials going on. So, this video had originally been sort of planned as more of a deep dive video. I wanted to go over an issue that's been kind of percolating in my brain for honestly, maybe 2 weeks now, I guess. I wanted it to be more, I said a deep dive, but honestly, sort of like almost a news piece, I guess. Like an investigative thing. I wanted to bring you numbers. I wanted to bring you actual media sources on this. I had actually reached out. I guess this video I'm going to be saying, actually, some videos I say all the time. I don't really have like tics like that as far as I know, but today's going to be actually. So, reached out to somebody on TikTok who I thought would be interested in this. She does more political pieces while she does her makeup. I kind of just ran across her randomly and thought, you know what, she would be the perfect person to get this information out there. In the past, I have tagged like actual makeup influencers to try to get them to talk about things that I think would be relevant, like reaction channels, things like that. Jen Love, Angela Oaks, that's how she pronounces her last name, I'm not sure. The Welsh twins, and of course I'm a nobody. I just reached like 150 followers, but I think when something's important, people should talk about it, and whether or not I have followers shouldn't really matter, right? If somebody sees a tag and they look at it and they go, oh my gosh, this is crazy, they should report on it, right? Whether or not it comes from somebody important. At least that's the way I feel. Recently, Ohama actually, what? Commented on one of the things that I tagged her in. She's like, what's going on? And I explained it, and maybe she's gonna say something, maybe not, I don't know. They do bigger things. Like, I understand that YouTube channels can't immediately turn something around the way they do on TikTok, but either way, whether or not somebody ends up covering this, I wanted to say something. I had to. It was too much. So while I'm getting ready, I may pause this, I may splice this, I don't know how it's gonna get edited, but here, I'll do a frame. Maybe like in here somewhere there's gonna be a video, or I'll just cut it. But here's what's in my mind, okay? And like I said, this is going to be a get ready with me. So I'm not actually going to stop and tell you what I'm doing because I have things to do today. I'm going to an event with The Source. It's a mixer before we actually head to Pride. And so I only have about 25 more minutes to get stuff done. So I'm not explaining. I'm not going to tell you what shades or who they're from. Just go with it. So we all know that I have broken up with a couple of makeup brands who I feel have compromised their ethics, mostly because of, mostly because of Harry Potter collections, right? And most recently it was Profusion Cosmetics because they released a brand new collection in 2025. Like what in the actual, right? So it just does not make sense to me how there was no uproar. How in 2025 can people not be absolutely just pissed off at this? And especially after everything that went on with Charlie Kirk and her actually just like quoting Hitler. Like not even trying to hide that she's, so very little press, very little kickback. And so what is it telling us? It's saying that people will still support a brand. And of course, to me, if you are still buying a product, you're telling a brand that you agree with their ethics. You're saying, I'm going to adjust this in a bit, but I don't want this to stay on and dry out. So if you're still buying a product, you're telling a company, I support your ethics. I think it is absolutely fine that you are doing a collab with this person, that you're giving this person your money. If you don't know, the way that brands get these licenses, so say it's a Harry Potter collab, what they will typically do is they will cash out hundreds of thousands of dollars for a property this big. So they will buy the rights to use the name, use the logos, the colors, etc. So Profusion probably would have paid $100,000, $200,000, and they will get the right to do a limited release collection, and they're going to be able to say Harry Potter, Hogwarts, Slytherin, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff. Who's the last one? I don't even know. I haven't watched or read anything in a long time. But they're going to be able to use the colors, the logos, everything. And whenever a item from the collection is purchased, JK Rowling, her estate, whoever, is going to get a very small portion of that sale. A fraction of a percent, likely. But the most of her money is going to be coming in buying that licensing, the right to use those names and whatnot. So those deals are going to be done months and months, if not years, in advance of these products coming out. So even if the thing with her, do we like that nose contour? I don't know. I don't usually contour my nose. I'll go ahead and I'll highlight it too, but I just thought, I'd try something new. We'll see. I may change it later. I can do that. It's makeup. But the bulk of her profits will have been done way in advance, right? So even if they could never have predicted that Charlie Kirk would be shot, that JK would be quoting Hitler, you know, doing all that stuff, the money's been spent, right? So even if people would have had an uproar and said, oh my gosh, we cannot support this, we're not going to buy, the money's been spent, right? So even if they would have stopped, if they would have been like, oh my gosh, this thing has happened, you know, however many weeks ago now that she said it, the money's been spent. So keep that in mind when I explain what I'm about to say, which is that I need a blush. We all know what happened with Jimmy Kimmel, all right? Why is that relevant? Because there was a massive, massive uproar. We know this. One second. All right. No, I want... So we know that for like a week and a half, he was off the air, right? And everyone got incredibly upset. Massive uproar. Enough that like it affected ABC and Disney's profit shares on Wall Street, right? People were canceling their subscriptions. They were boycotting. They were doing all kinds of stuff, right? So it was, you know, crazy. And while, of course, we should stand up for our values. If something happens that we don't support, right? In this case, people were saying ABC and Disney should not have bowed to political pressure, right? They were saying, hey, ABC, who is owned by Disney, we don't like that you fired Jimmy Kimmel. When the president of the United States says, hey, we don't like that he joked about how I was mourning the loss of my dear friend, Charlie Kirk, and you better fire him. And they did. We, the citizens of the United States, are pissed off. And we're going to show it. So, with their money, right, like we talked about before, we said, we don't like this. We are saying that our morals as consumers are that we will not tolerate the government telling late night TV show hosts and the companies that employ them what to do, what to say. We are not about government censorship, right? Apparently, hundreds of thousands of people watched Jimmy Kimmel. Who knew? I certainly didn't. I mean, did you know that everybody was tuning in every single night to watch Jimmy Kimmel? Clearly ABC didn't know. If they did, they wouldn't have kowtowed to the pressure, because let me tell you, if the numbers were there, it wouldn't have happened. And that's just the truth. Sorry, it's the truth. There's absolutely no way that ABC would have been like, yeah, he's expendable, but that's not really the most important part here. Most important part of all of this is that the consumers pushed back. They said, this is where we draw the line, right? Cool. So where am I getting at? What I'm getting at is what I just showed you. And that is the numbers for, what brush did I use for this? I think it was this one. Or the, I just got myself all confused. Maybe I shouldn't have put it in the video earlier than that. So here's me doing it again. Here's the video. I'll splice it again. I'll change my editing, whatever. Like I said, I'm trying to get ready. So it's not exactly like I had planned this out perfectly. Why can I not remember how droppers work? There we go. Anyway, so you may have heard that Wet n Wild did a collaboration with Disney Villains. And if you remember how I explained the way licensing works, you know that this deal was done months, if not years, in advance. So Wet n Wild had zero idea that ABC was going to be told by the commander in Cheeto that they needed to fire Jimmy Kimmel. They had no idea that a lone assailant was going to take out Charlie Kirk. They had no idea about any of this, right? How could they? How could they possibly know that this was going to happen? There's no way. They couldn't possibly know, because nobody knew except that guy. And apparently, if we believe what we know, because we don't know, innocent until proven guilty, he has not gone to court, right? But let's take it on faith. He even didn't know. All we know is that on that day, Charlie Kirk was taken out, because we saw it, right? We know what happened. So through no fault of Wet n Wild, right? Because they didn't know, this thing happened. And something happened with Disney, with Jimmy Kimmel, with ABC. And the consumers spoke with their money. And a bunch of people... Now, like I said, I delayed making this video, and so I had to go into the archives to find this video. When I had originally seen it and started to develop this video in my mind, there was so much more. I had to, like I said, video archive. But when I'd originally seen it on Facebook, there were hundreds of these comments just... I stand with Jimmy, I stand with Jimmy, I stand with Jimmy, I stand with Jimmy, over and over and over and over again, right? And at the time, I didn't go look for the exact same ad over on Instagram, and I wish I would have taken the screenshots, gotten the screen recordings, but I didn't, all right? And I didn't know that every month the advertising switches over. I didn't know any of that, and I wish I did, but I'm not an investigative reporter. I'm a girl that does makeup on TikTok, and sometimes my videos get 100 views, and that's awesome, right? But do we like this? Okay, I need to check the time. I've got like 15 minutes. Okay. Let me get some bronzing going on my face. I'm trying not to do like a whole lot of powder because even though, let's go lower than where my contour was, like that. I'm trying not to use a whole bunch of powder because it's still gonna be super hot and I may still sweat. I lost the cap, there it is. All right, let me get this melted. Anyway, so I didn't get all the evidence, but yeah, it was just a ton of these comments over and over and over again, almost as if somebody had told them what to say. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now, there are a couple of really interesting longer comments that I don't think you're gonna be able to read. So I am, after this, going to type them out and I will read them or have them read out. I'm gonna get that edited in. This is not doing the job. This will do it. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to go back after Jimmy got back on the air and see if the comments changed at all. But like I said, I had to go to the archives, so I didn't get the chance. But yeah, so here's the bottom line that I'm trying to get to. If there's two bottom lines. All right, so now I have just a little bit of time to finish off my eyes and my lips, but I need to set all of my cream products. Do we like the nose? I don't have natural light to really, we'll see. Give me a sec. Two bottom lines. One, do we go back now that Jimmy is back? Second, do we really think that a late night talk show host and the government censorship issue is more important to us as a society than human rights? Sorry, YouTube. Than human rights. Is that what we're saying? Are we saying that we are okay with supporting JK Rowling, but we're not okay with a company deciding to fire a late night TV host? Now, personally, I'm kind of not okay with either. I don't particularly think it's a good thing to censor the media. In fact, I'm pretty dang sure that it's in the First Amendment. So if we're going to get upset, we need to be getting upset and be consistent with it. But I also think that if we're going to be getting upset at Wet and Wild and taking that big of a stance, that we're getting upset at a third party who had nothing to do with any of it because of the late night TV show host who is off the air for like a week and a half, then we need to reassess where our morals lie as consumers. Because this brand deal happened probably at least a year ago. And all of the money, because now we're talking Disney villains. We're not even talking like one little book franchise, which is big, but Disney villains goes back so much further. Like, let's remember when Sleeping Beauty came out. Okay, so we're not talking like 100,000, 200,000, whatever the deal was for Profusion. We're talking probably $1 million or more for this licensing. And for a $6 lip gloss from Wet n Wild, 3 cents profit to Disney now if you go buy it. Like, let's think about our priorities. I've got to get going. The event starts at 6. I mean, you don't have to get there at 6, I guess. So, you know what? Let me turn off the alarm that I have that's going to go off. Because, yeah, it's going to tell me that I have like 9 seconds. Pause. Stop the alarm. Okay. I do need to rush, but I guess I don't really have to get there like right away. So I kind of have an idea of wanting to do something with like magenta, purple, and blue because I'm going to a lgtbq mixer. And I really don't want to try and do the heteroflexible flag because it's just a mixer and heteroflexible is a subset of bi. So I was thinking using the bi colors, but I haven't really planned anything out. So I guess I'll just lay down a base color. This will work. Let me start with something neutral like this, I think. But yeah, like boycott Disney Plus, sure, because that's where most people are probably watching Kimmel. Makes sense. Cancel your like season pass to Disneyland. That's big, right? Cancel Wet n Wild for a $6 lip gloss. I don't know. I just think that if we're going to be getting mad at like third-party makeup brands and call it like consumer morals, we need to be more consistent. That's really my point. Like, I know that there's going to be some people out there that are like, well, you know, it's the government and yada, yada, yada. Like, yeah, the government is like a big deal, obviously. Like, we need to be making sure that they know how we feel, right? And yeah, I live in the US, so this is something that is more important to me as a US citizen. The President of the United States essentially messing with the First Amendment, yeah, that's a big deal. Absolutely. It's a big deal. The boycott was necessary. The boycott was important. And yeah, JK Rowling is making legislative problems in the UK. There's a difference. I get it. But as somebody that does makeup related videos, right? Profusion and Wet n Wild are doing the same thing as far as I'm concerned. They are collaborating with third parties that right now, to me, as far as like principles that need to be boycotted, as far as consumer morals, are on the same level. So I should see similar level of outrage. And I just didn't see it. I did not see anybody talking about the audacity of Profusion Cosmetics collaborating with JK Rowling in 2025. I just didn't see it. The only one getting pissed off was me. Why? I don't get it. I don't think it's okay, and I don't understand why nobody else was having a problem with it. Yes, Profusion is not as well known. Maybe that's why, but like, I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'll just get quiet for this part, and this is where I'll put the text over it, because I just need to get this done. So here's the comments. Okay, actually that's probably long enough. Okay. On that note though, like, how many of you have heard about what happened with the Pentagon? Because it's entirely relevant to the same topic. No? None of you? How interesting. Uh-huh. You got my point? So, the Pentagon has issued a gag order, essentially, on people with press passes in the Pentagon. So basically what they have said is that only news that the Pentagon has specifically authorized can be let out. So before, anything that people have observed, people have heard, like, there's a free press in the US, supposedly. And anybody with clearance to enter the building, enter the grounds, etc., if they noticed something, if they interviewed somebody, whatever, they could print it. They could go on TikTok. They could, whatever. Not anymore. Not anymore. The thing is, that's a loophole, technically. The government didn't, limit the free press, which would be a violation of the First Amendment. The Pentagon did. They didn't say the press can't print anything, right? They just said, oh, you can't release anything that we haven't specifically authorized. Y'all know who works in the Pentagon, right? Military. Why would the military be wanting to make sure they control what news is getting out? They wouldn't want to be controlling the narrative for any specific reason, right? That's all I'm going to say about that. I still don't know what I'm doing with this look. I don't know if I'm going to blend these or what. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I don't actually even have a really solid color scheme going. Okay, I gotta get this done. This isn't the shade of purple I wanted at all. That brush isn't doing what I wanted. Okay. This one will do better. What else has been going on? Oh, I think this one will work. Let's try it. I need to get a new hand mirror. Here's the deal. I am going to be buying the pieces that I want from Wet n Wild Villains collection. I am. One, because Kimmel is back in office. Back on TV. Because honestly, I don't really think the onus is on Disney and ABC. I think the problem is that the Trump administration are jackbooted thugs who are trying to thwart the First Amendment. I'm getting wicked fallout from this, and I probably should have done my eyes first. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Okay, I got it. Tap it hard to get the fallout out. So, okay, here's why this is happening. I know this is a get ready with me, but so this is the brand Beauty Treats. I got it from Daiso. It is a super cheap brand. It's essentially like a dollar store thing. And I'm using the shade in the middle, the one that you have to mix. So it's kicking up a lot of powder to mix it. So I'm having to really knock it off against my table. And as I'm doing it, I wonder if I can show it. I'll use the tray here, but as I'm knocking it, can you see how much powder is coming out? So I'm getting a ton of fallout underneath my eye right now. I'm not loving it. It's the only purple shade. Well, why am I being a liar, McLarison? I have a better purple shade. I have a much better purple shade. I'm gonna mix these two. This is what happens when I try to be an investigative reporter and not just a beauty girl. I forget what makeup I've got. That is much better. Still getting freaking fallout, but at least I've got color payoff. Because it's all up in the brush still, but... So I think I've got an idea now. I'm not going to really blend them. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on a topper that has pink and blue glitter in it. So I'm gonna blend them slightly just so they're not laying funky, but I'm gonna top it so it's not so stark. All right, hopefully this blue lays down okay, and then I'll do something under the bottom. Maybe this purple shimmer. Blue, save me. My gosh, this is unreal. I've got to do something about this. Maybe I can fluff it away. Brand new, clean brush. Please fluff off, please. Okay, I'm not mad at it. That's gonna save me. Yes. All right, we're back in the game. We're late, but we're back in the game. All right, let's get this blue laid down. Almost done. The top anyway. So if you see me taping and you don't know why, go back to other videos. Why are you not watching them? But also said that just for budget and just practicality, I am going to be using the palettes and makeup that I already own from the brands, because obviously it makes sense to, use what I've got. There's no reason not to, because, I don't want to waste stuff. I didn't know, and I can't blame myself for not knowing that, they were going to do these things. Obviously, it's the same idea as what's going on with Wet n Wild. Like, we do the best with the knowledge that we have, and we just move forward, right? And I'm not going to waste product because I didn't know any better at the time. So it is what it is, right? And so I will be using the products, but I'm not going to talk about the shades. I'm not going to hold it up and be like, I'm going to be using this in this palette, right? And if it's going to be big enough that the name brand can be seen, or the name of the palette or whatever, I'm going to be covering it with tape. So obviously I did use some of the brands that I didn't want to support on camera. And so when they will be on camera, I'm taping them over them. So you'll see them, but I won't be, making reference to them at all. I was hoping these would blend while I put this over them, but they are not blending. Awesome. I'm gonna have to be a little rougher, I think. Is the topper even showing up on camera? What is going on here? I don't know. Maybe I gotta do a finger here. That's the ticket. Okay. All right. It's kind of wiping out colors a little bit more than I'd hoped, but it works. It kind of matches the outfit a little bit more. All right. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at it. There's no reason. Let's get a lip on and call it a day. Do I have a lip? You know what? This wasn't the one I had planned, but it'll work. What do we think? I think it ended up way more sparkly than I had intended, but it's a LGBTQ mixer. Sparkles are always allowed. All right, guys, let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm crazy to expect the same kind of uproar? Are you okay with third-party collaborations? Let me know in the comments. Tag people that you think can get this message out. I really think that it's important that we talk about this. And did you boycott? Are you still boycotting? Are you back? What do you think? All right, everybody, stay safe, be kind to yourself. I absolutely love the hell out of you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Hey you guys, so I completely forgot to take photos the entire time I was at the mixer. So I figured, let's film in from my Love Wins flag. It is after 9 p.m. So I did actually remember to go put on some mascara, and I finished a little bit under the eyes, but yeah, this is the final look. I think it held up well. I had so much fun. I was talking to all kinds of people. I met a ton of people. I think I will be just fine going by myself to Pride on Saturday. So yeah, that's it. I know the lighting kind of sucks. I didn't want to bring everything out here, but anyway, that's it. See you guys later.